close this. I'm going to close this. Preparing to live stream to the webinar on YouTube. I don't know why this whole process feels better on YouTube already. And then now we're mirrored over here. Okay, cool. So let me minimize this. What's going on today, friend?
What's happening?
Not much. It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
I feel like
it's been a while.
It has been a while. When was the last time we hung out? I think it's been a while since we hung out. We
gotta hang out, right?
We talked on the phone. Yeah, we talked on the phone a few months ago.
We did.
What's been going on? What's new in the life of Brandi Kiana-Jo?
Everything and nothing.
Everything and nothing. Start with everything.
Well, that's anytime somebody asks me that question, that's my famous response, because every moment is brand new. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So every single thing is new. However, what's significant? Everything. And at the same time, nothing.
Nothing.
Because we're just blessed on a daily, on a moment-to-moment basis. And so it's like, to some people, it's not that new, because there's this kind of state of complacency and kind of like, oh, that's mundane. They're so entitled to those moments or expected to have certain things in their life that they don't even find gratitude in it. So therefore, me saying nothing is to that type of response, to that type of mindset, like, oh, nothing, nothing big. But yeah, everything. I mean, I'm like on a whole nother level than what I've been in the last 4 years. It's now coming up 4 years. I'm super stoked about being a holistic life coach and being an entrepreneur. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah, like everything's changed, but just kind of extended to a deeper and broader level that I am just so ridiculously grateful for. Yeah, in a nutshell, I'm just so grateful for everything that is happening. I can't, just my coaching is like the biggest thing that's new. That it's basically a 100% focused on coaching, and there's really no events that I'm capitalizing on right now. I mean, the last 4 years, it's been event after event after event, producing over 40 events in the last 4 years. And I've told a lot of people almost a year ago that I'm changing things up. There's going to be less events. They're going to be more impactful, and just really focusing on my coaching. And now I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be able to do that, because it's my baby, it's my purpose. And I don't want to do anything else.
What was, how often are you doing events now?
My focus is, or my goal is to do.
When was the last time you did it? Or when was the last time you did an event?
The last time I did an event was, I think, in April. And then, so that's a really long time for me, because that's only one event too. And then I did another one like in February, and that's it. So I think I only did 2 events this year, which is wild, because I've like averaged like 10 or 11 events. I mean, at minimum. So that's, just only 2 events is crazy. But my goal is to do maybe 2 events a year, 2 big events a year.
I love it.
What do you love about it? What do you love about it? Tell me.
No, I think one of the last times we talked was probably around January or so.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's been that long. And it's kind of blowing my mind that it's been like, it's been a nutty year.
It's been flying.
To have gone this long without talking has been pretty nuts. And for us to, has it really been that long? But I think I remember you talking about, like, I just have like this 1 or 2 girlfriends events left. And then you weren't even uncertain, or maybe you had a couple that were on the schedule and you're like, I'm thinking about not doing them, or something that something I don't remember, you were going to pull out of them or something. So I just remember you being so overwhelmed with that. And I just had this feeling. I was like, it's time to let it go, time to let it go. And so to me, I'm going to pretend to
Yeah.
be shocked that your coaching business has blown up since you let some of that go. I think
Oh.
that was going to be my next question, because I feel like you're such a brilliant person. Is just like, yeah, just had a lot of stuff going on. Lots and
Oh.
lots of stuff going on.
Thank you, thank you. You know, the biggest thing for me was when you talked about overwhelm, is that I didn't want to stop the events. I didn't want to, but I just knew I had to do it. It had to be the right choice, because how much I want to give to people, it wasn't really, it wasn't enough for me. And so instead of moving forward and say, I'm going to go bigger, I'm going to go broader, I'm going to go bang it out like this, I had to really reflect and say, how am I going to make the biggest impact within my soul that really resonates with what I can humanly do? Because on a spiritual level, I'm like freaking flying all over the place. But on a human level, I had to bring the alignment into synergy, so that way what I can produce equates to the impact that I dream of doing, and then executing that. And so the biggest thing that was overwhelming me is saying, okay, the answer for me to actually make the impact that I'm looking for is to not really stop the events, but just minimize it. And then with each event to maximize it when I do have it. Because one of the things that I found when I was doing all these events is that people were taking advantage of it. People would say, oh, that's awesome. I'll go. She has them all the time. I'll go next month. I'll go next month. I'll go next month. And I'm like, you guys are missing out, because next month is going to be completely different. It's going to be different people. You have the opportunity, put it on your darn calendar. If you want to go, go. I'm not here to convince anybody, but it's like seizing the opportunity. Carpe diem, say la vie, like get in there when it resonates with you, and stop doubting and just jump in, because no event is ever going to be the same. Just like no bottle of wine will ever be the same once you crack that sucker open. It's like the chemistry in that bottle is there, and it creates this beautiful magic that only in that moment, once you release the cap and then the oxygen, it starts creating new chemistry. And then when you taste it, even with your DNA, your microbiome is never going to be the same way when you smell it, when you take that sip, when you pair it with something. It's going to be completely different than when you hold on to it and you're like, I'm just going to wait for that great opportunity, that celebration, that anniversary, whatever it is. And then how you store it, how you place that kind of idea of it's going to be better when I wait. Usually it usually doesn't even lead up to the expectation, of that, because you had so much hope about it in the very beginning, and then when it comes, you're like, this is it, and they're like, yeah, it's good, and then the judgment starts coming in, the expectation starts coming in and out, and all that kind of stuff. But it's always different, right? It's always different. I love talking about wine. I love talking about food and business and all that kind of stuff. But I like to use, I'm using that because to me, there's a lot of like, it's just similar, it's like when I used to sell wine, it's like, you'll never have this bottle of wine the same way that you have it tonight, the way you have it today, ever again. And to just go for it, I'm not trying to, I guess inspire people to drink alcohol, but I am saying, if
What's your favorite bottle of wine right now?
Oh, that's a good question, Ryan. I really like that question because I love wine. I love
Me too.
Red and white. You do? Oh, we should have a wine night.
My favorite, but I would love that. My favorite bottle right now, and this has been for a while. Kara and I went on, I don't remember if it was our first date or one of our first dates, but we got this Cabernet Sauvignon called Obsidian Ridge. That's really
from
good.
California, right? Napa Valley.
It's California, Napa Valley.
Yeah.
And they sell it at the little wine store there by the olive tree down the hill.
And,
but I really, really love what you said about just get the wine and drink it. Like, don't wait, don't hold it off. Just like, And I really like that. Like, it was interesting that you bring that up, because I think about people that go, like, I want to, like, if I could, I would go to Whole Foods like every day and buy what I wanted for dinner every day. That's what I really like to do. And my wife doesn't like that, because it's like, well, yeah, we can say we're going to do meatloaf next Thursday, but next Thursday I'm going to want to eat tacos and I'll be super disappointed when we do the meatloaf. And so obviously it's not really feasible to have that like that way all the time. But sometimes it's like we go down and it's like the Obsidian Ridge is sitting there all the time. And if I got that bottle every time, and it's also like $35 for the bottle. So it's not a crazy expensive bottle, but it's definitely not a $14 like A to Z from Oregon or something that's cheaper. But it's you know, so, and we just get it every once in a while. Sometimes we're like, oh, I feel like it's that kind of night. And then we get that cab sauv. And for whatever reason, it's just I don't know, like, it was just always a perfect night to have that wine. And it's because it's like, even more so, you talk about the body chemistry or or just like that, you know, the whatever you're feeling like that day. And like that wine signifies a really cool memory to us. And when we do it, like when the moment is right, it's like, oh, the wine happens to be right here in front of me when the moment is right. And you just grab it, take it home, no judgments. There's 15 other bottles sitting right here next to it that I could choose. They're probably all just as good. But there's just something about that. And like, I think too, like when you look at something that inspires you or like brings you back, like that alters your chemistry as well a little bit. And so it can just like, you know, freaking tannins. I don't know.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You know, wine is such a big, I love so many types of wine. I mean, red, white, sparkling, it really depends on, it depends on the temperature, even my body temperature. It depends on the temperature of the wine. It depends on if I'm going to have it alone or am I going to pair it with something? What am I going to pair it with? And I don't go, you know, actually, I used to sell wine. I don't know if you knew this, but I used to sell wine.
See, that's why we Unscripted. We're having like this crazy cool conversation. Keep going.
Yeah, I used to sell wine. I was, this is something that's new and different. You asked me like, what's going on? What's new? So one of the things, because I'm focused more so on my coaching, my clients, best clients in the world. I love them so much. So grateful for every single one of them. And because I'm able to focus on that, I'm also starting to share more of my story that everybody always asks me about, like, how'd you get into coaching, all that kind of stuff. And I'm always like, I don't have a whole lot of time to get into it because there's a lot of chapters to it. But I'm going to share one right now. So there was a time in my life where I didn't know what I was going to do. I really had no idea what I was going to do to like climb the ladder financially in business. And this was way before I became a coach. But I mean, in a sense, I was still kind of coaching, and it's so cool. I mean, there's memories that are coming up, but yeah. So I was working at Cost Plus World Market. Have you heard of that place?
I've heard of World Market. Yeah.
So
I know
that's
exactly what
it.
you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where? Is there one here?
No, I wish, man. I would probably be.
I was about to say, where were you living?
I was in Washington State.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was working there, and I loved it. I mean, for people who are watching, they don't know. It's like a Pier 1 Imports, but they have everything in that store: food, wine, furniture, everything for the bathroom, the kitchen, the dining room, the living room. I mean, it was just really cool. Gifts. Anyway, so I love traveling. I didn't do a whole lot of traveling at the time. It was just more within the United States. But that place really inspired me because there's all these knickknacks. And I don't really want to call it knickknacks. There were all these gems from around the world. And the reason why they call it Cost Plus is because the traveler who started this only would add 10%. So it'd be cost and then plus 10%. And they would sell it to a consumer on the mainland or wherever. Somewhere, you know, they would just basically grab a luggage and buy all these cool things and then sell it. And so it became Cost Plus World Market. And when I was working at this place, I was so inspired. I became basically one of the top customer service representatives. And none of it was on commission, but I would sell anything based on what people wanted. It was always based on what people wanted because I just wanted to help people. And so I was really big on like, how can I find you what you want, and how can I get you better than what you're looking for, within your budget, you know? And
Yeah.
so there were times where I won like some sales stuff, you know, like, I don't know, some sales games and competitions. And I never cared about like the quota. I just really cared about like, how can I help people? And so I stopped working for a while. I came back because I dabbled in a couple of different places. I came back because I was trying, people were coming to me like, hey, you should, I want to hire you and you'll make commission, you'll make more money. I see what you're doing, because I would upsell them on something, you know? And so I did try it out. And then I was like, I don't really like this like commission based thing. It just seems like it's just everyone's about the quota and I don't really get to connect with people. So I came back to Cost Plus World Market, and then I met with the managers and I said, hey, can you, I want to manage the place. So ballsy, so, you know, like, I don't know what to do. I just know I need to climb the ladder. And I was like, I want to become a manager. And they're like, but you don't, they're looking at my resume, they're looking at my experience. They're like, but you don't have any credentials that supports that you can do that. And I was like, I don't know. Well, can you put me in some, can I be a supervisor? Can you put me in a situation where I can learn and I can climb up? And they're like, okay, all right, we'll give you a shot. We'll put you in the beverage department. And in the beverage department, it was basically wine and beer.
Wine. Yeah.
Wine and beer from around the world. And let me tell you this, Ryan, I did not know a single thing about wine. I was drinking Ernest and Julio. Do you know that?
No.
Ernest and Julio, white Zinfandel, pink.
Oh, okay, yeah. You know? White Zin's like the trashiest of all wine. It's so hilarious.
Yeah, I was drinking Colorasi jugs, like just taking it, like just breaking my neck, like, oh, I'm drinking wine. And but I didn't want to let anyone down. I didn't want to let myself down. So every single day I went to the bookstore, I went to the library, and morning breakfast, lunch, dinner, every single one of my breaks, I would learn, and I would have 5 or 6 books around me surrounded by just on the knowledge of wine. And I studied every single day. And then after a month, I took over the department. And then after 3 months, I took another department. And then when I looked at like the storage, and there was just cases of wine. And I knew that the only way to help build this store is to sell all the wine in storage and then sell everything on the floor and know every single thing, or know as much as I can from every single thing that we have in inventory. And so the sales went up, and then people started, different managers for distributor companies, they saw their sales going up because I was buying like 50 cases of wine, 100 cases of wine, selling it within a week, you know, I mean, just upping their sales incredibly.
Yeah.
And so different managers start coming after me, and they're like, hey, who's this new person? Can you join our team? And so, and then I ended up working for a distributor company, and you know, continuing to sell wine. And it's like I just have such a love for getting people interested in new flavor profiles, and also telling them the benefits of it nutritionally, and you know, just, I don't know, pairing was my thing. And that was my favorite thing. So when you ask like, what's my favorite wine? I'm like, there's a lot of like conditions that follow with it. And I know this is a long ass story, but to answer your question,
it's perfect.
But yeah, I mean, like if right at this moment, if you and I were at the wine, at a winery or at a wine retail store, if I were to look at a white selection and then tell you what would I have right this second, you know, I would probably, there's, you know, this is going to sound really funny because I don't drink this wine normally. I don't drink these types of wine normally. It's very like based on occasion. But right now I'm kind of, I would probably get, there's probably 2 wines I would get. I would probably have a little bit of a late harvest, like what's it called? Probably like a late harvest, like, I don't know. Have you had any late harvest wines, ice wines?
I don't. I'm a I'm a bigger fan of red wines, the warm ones, the one room temperature. It's really interesting. So no, I have a question though.
Oh, okay, go
If
ahead.
you're why do we drink red wine at room temperature versus white wine in cold? Why do we chill white wine?
Well, we actually should be chilling them both. I chill both wines. So white wine, the way white wine is made is that they remove the skin,
Oh, they just
the
remove the skin.
seeds. They remove all of that, which gives the color of the red wine. And because of the skin and the seeds that are actually put into the tank and when they ferment everything, that doesn't only just give it color, it gives it more nutrition, more texture. Therefore, there's more
Mm.
tannins in red wine, and
Hmm.
so it actually does last longer than white wine. So white wine has a shorter life,
Oh.
shelf life, and so when we drink white wine at a cooler temperature, um, we're able to get a little bit more of the flavor on our palate. And that's what I would say. And I'm a little rusty on my wine knowledge because I haven't been, like the way I used to be. I mean, people always
Right.
thought I was a sommelier, but red wines, when we say room temperature, that really came from France. And when we look at France room temperature, it's around 55 degrees, 56 degrees. So it's cooler than Hawaii. I
Cooler,
mean,
yeah.
our
Oh
room
yeah.
temperature is like 75 degrees average, right?
75, 80.
So
Yeah,
it's too
maybe.
hot. It's too
Hot.
hot actually. So when you have your wine stored at a hotter temperature, it actually creates new chemistry in the bottle and it makes it spoil faster. Then it becomes like wine vinegar later on. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, so I suggest or I recommend that you try out red wine at a cooler temperature, not cold, but cooler, maybe like 56 degrees. And it's gonna change your whole world on how you taste it and how it
Hmm.
complements your food. I always chill both.
All right. All right. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, but I have had Obsidian and I like that wine. It's a very, it's definitely a classic California style Cabernet,
Hmm.
which is very fruit forward. There's a little meatiness on there, but it's jam packed with ripe
Lots of good
berries,
stuff going in
ripe
there. Yeah.
blueberries, strawberries, like hints of maybe cassis and chocolate and nice tannins that complements like lamb and um, I mean, just there's just so many different things that complements. But it's a good time to drink that type of wine during the season as
Hmm.
it's getting cooler. Yeah.
Dig
But
it.
I love all types of wine. But the other wine that I was going to say is a Pinot Noir from Willamette Valley is some of my favorite,
And
and that's
Willamette in Washington State.
in
Or Oregon.
Oregon.
Oregon. Yeah, there's the one
Oregon.
from the Pinot Noir from Oregon I really like. It's the A to Z.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
A
yeah,
to Z. Yeah, it's really good.
yeah.
Those Oregon Pinots I really like a lot. I really
Me
like the
too.
Pinots from Oregon. I like a lot. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't. My ex-wife used to drink a lot of wine, and
Uh-huh.
she would just drink whatever because she just liked to drink wine. And
Yeah.
but then it was one of those things. 'Cause it was like a point of contention in our relationship because she drank a lot, and
Mm.
so it was like I was like meh about wine because I was pissed because she was always drinking. And so
Mm.
then I remember when we got divorced, and then I started kind of like, but the truth was is that even though she drank a lot and I resented it, I still learned a lot about wine while I was in that relationship. And then when I got out and was finally able to let that go, and you let go of the parts that don't serve you, and you keep parts like, oh, I'm going to keep this wine knowledge because it's useful. And so then I just remember, like, now I was like, I know a little bit. I know what to look for and what to smell for and what to taste for and all that stuff. And so it's like kind of fun to try new wines now, and so it's really cool. But I remember during our relationship that A to Z was something that was kind of newer. Like I had like 10-ish years ago or so when we discovered it. And yeah, it's one of them. I really like the Oregon Pinots were really cool. Isn't this hilarious? We're talking about fucking wine.
I love it. I love it.
I
I mean,
love it.
people, it's great because a lot of people would probably assume that we're going to talk about like coaching the entire time and how
Yeah.
to help
No,
people,
I
blah
don't
blah
really
blah.
want to talk about it at all.
But I just want us to just talk, and whatever
Yeah.
comes up, like just let that sucker
Yeah.
roll off the chest. You know what I mean? And
Good
that's,
stuff.
I do want to mention something though, Ryan. Like I
Go
think
for it.
that's really cool that even though wine had left a sour taste in your mouth because
Hmm.
it was related to a relationship that has some wounds or whatever, some memories that's like not so crazy about. I think it's really cool that you can appreciate it today, and
Yeah,
that
it's funny
and that you're excited
because
about
wine was something that I would avoid,
it.
and because it was a problem. Like she
Uh-huh.
was an alcoholic. She drank every day, and
Yeah.
she also really loved sparkling water that I hated. I called it
Mm.
stupid water because I hated sparkling water. But I also ate way too much sugar back then, so I
Mm.
wasn't able to appreciate that flavor. Now I really appreciate wine and really appreciate sparkling water. And in fact, it was just the relationship that sucked, and I just wanted to. Yeah, it was just
Mhm.
really, really. It's really fascinating how that happens. Now we've got a
Mhm.
refrigerator full of sparkling water that we drink all the time that we really dig. And
That's
so
hilarious.
it's like I drink it sometimes, be like, yep, I remember, and I just laugh because I've got no energy with the relationship now. It's like it's over, it's past. It's we've been divorced for several years, and she's remarried, and I'm
And
remarried,
you're
and
remarried.
yeah, yeah, and so it's like, yeah, we can still be pissed at each other. I don't talk to her and have no intention of ever,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
still at the same time, it's like, yeah, I remember it used to be handful of years back. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with the Navy too. Like if I drive by the exchange, like or drive by the base, like I feel a little bit of unease in my stomach. And I imagine that would be the same with her. And it's just like, man, I don't really care anymore. Like I just don't care. And then like the recent stuff with this Facebook group and the sailor stuff that's been going on with me, like I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I do feel a little like I want to feel different about that now. For a really long time, I didn't want to feel different about the Navy, but now I do. And I think the reason why I do want to feel different now is because I have an intention as to why to feel different, instead of just being like mad. Like sometimes we're just pissed and we're grumpy and we don't have a good reason to get over it. And so we just hold on to it. And then all of a sudden you find something new, like, you get remarried or you have a new relationship and you want to start over. Because that was one of the things too, like you've seen my UCLA talk, like we talked about the first thing was like the waiter brought our drinks and why'd your marriage fail? Like it was like this and alcohol stories involved in that thing. I'm like holding this. I remember it was a gin and tonic. I'm like holding it and being like, and so and then I think we went to this Italian restaurant and got this Obsidian Ridge. And we drank the whole bottle and it was freaking awesome. And we had a really good time. And I was like, oh, okay, we can have fun. Like it's cool. But because then we stopped and then we didn't drink for a few days. And it wasn't like, hey, I got to go stop wine again today, every day. And so it was just like one of those things was, you'd go to Trader Joe's and bring home 2 boxes of that Charles Schwab, $3.49. It's been the same price for two decades. So it's really
Charles
interesting.
Schwab
So
or Charles Shaw?
that one, Charles
Yeah.
Shaw.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's a smart one because he's basically capitalizing on the economy's mindset of cheaper is better. How much more value can you get from that? And the way that he actually blends his wine is very, very clever because he doesn't do anything different compared to other wineries that blend their wine. What he does is he uses certain wineries and sources the best, to his knowledge, the best ones um, that he can get from that season, and then he blends it and creates these great wines and sells it for a couple dollars. So he's known as the $2 Chuck because of that. But he's won a lot of different awards, and he's not
Yeah.
actually a bad. It's not bad wine. It's not nothing I ever buy, to be honest, um, because I definitely, I think if majority of the wines that I get are Italian reds,
Mm-hmm.
majority of the times, but it really just depends on who I'm drinking it with or what I'm pairing it with. But yeah, and I definitely like the old world style, like the ones that are from Italy, Spain, or excuse me, Italy, France, Germany. Yeah. So anyway, But yeah, but I know he's won a lot of awards, so it's
Right,
a lot
right.
of people love it. Yeah, he's a clever one.
Fascinating. I just got
Wait,
freaking schooled Charles Schwab.
Charles Schwab, I think, is a medical.
Charles Schwab is probably a medical thing.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, let's back up really quick because you started talking about something that I need to be updated
Yeah,
on.
go for it.
What were you talking about with like the sailors? And you
Oh
mentioned this
man.
previous about the veterans, but there's
Yeah,
something going on that you kind of been blown up, but it sounds like it's kind of going in a good direction, maybe a little bit
it's going in an
scary.
amazing direction. It's
Yeah,
going in a really, really cool direction. So,
fill me in.
Veterans Day, and you've heard my story, like my getting out with mental health in the military, and like the last couple of years, my retirement, the last couple of years, my 20, being very challenging to find a spot for me to stay so I could retire. And the stigma that goes with mental health and depression and anxiety and all of it, like all the stuff that we're scared to talk about in so many pockets of our society, and I'd probably say most parts of society. And so this Veterans Day came around, and I don't change my profile picture. I never do, because I did what I was in, because it's like, oh well, let's see if I can get some attention from this job that I don't really love, and I just don't ever do it. And then the day after, I write this post about how I coach people about love and relationships, but I'm also a retired Navy guy, and I'm the only guy that does this. I wrote this post about that, right? And so the last few months has been kind of this like little creative challenge for me, like figuring out and like kind of getting tired of my avatar that I've been working with and like not really wanting to work with that person anymore. And so I was just like sitting there, and I hit post on it that I'm the only retired Navy guy who teaches people about love and relationships. And I hit post, and I was like, you just really kind of like half-assed the actual story, you know? And so I dug up the last Veterans Day picture that I took, and I posted it, and I wrote the actual story. Like, this is what happened. Like, I was a Navy chief. Like, I was suicidal. And I, at my 17 and a half year point, like freaked out, knocked my captain's door with like tears in my face. I'm going to die if I stay here. I've got to go. And then like the part like, and then after I started sharing and telling the truth, and it was just the gist of the post, like after I started sharing and being honest, every single part of my life got better. All of it got better. My relationships, my ambitions to start a business, and then my desire to actually have a family and be like connected and supported within this unit. And so I hit post. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. And we usually go to bed around 10. And at like 10 o'clock at night, I had like 17 shares, which is like at that time, 17 shares, the most shares I'd ever had for a post.
That's
I was like,
oh, that's amazing.
This is pretty dope. 17 shares. Cool. And I also put like a little thing, like, if you would love to talk, like I want to help. Like if you're struggling and you don't have anybody to talk to, you don't feel like, and I put a little Calendly link for 15 minutes. And that first day, like 2 people scheduled with me. Like before the day was even over, 2 people was like, I would love to chat with you. This is amazing. I was like, holy shit, this is freaking crazy. So now fast forward like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks tomorrow. The post has been shared almost 1,000 times.
Oh my god!
And that's just on my post. Just the ones that, just the ones that I can. Awesome. Yeah, just the ones that I can see, because you can just see the one. So it's been shared almost 1,000 times just there. That's I awesome. Scheduled 40 calls. I scheduled 40 calls, and so like as of Friday afternoon, I did 40 one-on-one calls with sailors that I was just offering help to. And then I was like, holy shit. And so I think like that happened on Tuesday. And then I remember, so I posted on Tuesday, and by Thursday it had been shared like well over 200 or 300 times or something. And like, it was out of control. It was completely, and the reason I say out of control is because I didn't know what to do with the influx. Like this has been something I've been asking for. I just want to wake up in the morning and open my laptop and just see my calendar full of consults, right? And so it happened. It happened by Thursday. So Tuesday I posted it. By Thursday, my entire next week was completely booked. completely booked, like from morning to night. And I adjusted it's funny because I just adjusted my schedule from like 8 a.m. in the morning till like noon. And then I have like a 2-hour break. And then like from 2:30 to 6, I just adjusted it. And it was like the entire thing, action packed, completely full. And so on Thursday or Friday or Saturday, I don't remember. I was like, man, I remember on the phone with somebody. I was like, hey, would you find it like, what can I support you? Like, what do you feel like you need? She's like, this is really awesome. The fact that she's like, I haven't felt like this ever. And I was like, why do you think that is? She's like, because I came on here and I don't know you. And I told you the truth. I told you everything that I've been hiding. And I was like, yes, yes. Okay, cool. Like we're doing the right thing. Like that's what I want. That's what I wanted you to experience. And then I was just kind of like, and I'd shut my Facebook group down before I jump into this next part. I'd had a Facebook group that had and I'd been working on it for like almost like over a year, 14 months or something. And I had 286 people in there. And I was putting so much work into it. So much work just to get it to not even 300 people. And don't get me wrong, 300 is great.
Yeah.
So I start this group on like Thursday or Saturday or something. The first day, I had 800 people in the group.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
That is so right awesome.
Now, yeah, 800 people.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. And so the group is called Saving Sailors. And there is, and the funny thing is that, so my business is called First Wakeups, which is like a submarine thing that I stole and reappropriated and made it mine. Saving Sailors, my last command while I was there, like with the transit division, like leading the sailors that were kind of lost and not really sure what to do. And the Navy doesn't know whether they're going to keep them. That's what I did for my last 2.5 years in the Navy, was I worked with those sailors. And so me and this other chief that were there, what are we going to do today, man? Hashtag Saving Sailors. We used to joke about it. Like that's where we're going to go, Saving Sailors. So I just kind of took that and boom, put it in place. And so the interesting thing is that there are so many Navy pages that are just like making fun of the Navy, making fun of chiefs. It's like meme pages. It's just shit talking and hate and discontent. And so when I started the group, it was like I did the first video. I was like, this is not going to be that group. This is not like, I remember people came in. People posted memes like right away and boom, I nope, you don't do that. You do it again, you're out. Like I'm going to boot you. Yep. And so now the group's it's a little over a week, maybe 10 days old. There's over 1,500 people in this group. And there's 1,300 people in the queue that want to join. But I also said there's 3 questions. When did you join the Navy? What would you like to share? How can we support you? Those are the 3 questions. If you don't answer the questions, you don't get in the group.
Beautiful. You don't get in. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You don't get in. And so there's 1,200 people that are just sitting there in the invites. And so somebody posted an article, and this just happened today. So this is kind of a funny story. Somebody posted an article a couple days ago about the Master Chief Petouts for the Navy, which is the highest enlisted person in the Navy. He's the guy. He's like the enlisted advisor to the Chief of Naval Operations, which is the #1 Navy guy, like under the Secretary of the Navy, right? A friend of mine posted an article about the MCPON, the Master Chief Petouts for the Navy, talking about mental health and saying, we have to do something. It's not going to be a program. It's not going to be a freaking iPhone app. Like we got to sit down eye to eye, knees to knees, and have real conversations with our people. We have to change. And so it's like, oh, okay, cool. At least that guy's on the same page. And it turns out that when I made chief in 2010, he was the command master chief of the Pentagon. So I know the guy. I met him. And so, and did the whole chief season with him. So then today, like right before our call, I'm like looking at that post again, and he's in my group. So the most senior enlisted person in the Navy's in my Facebook group.
That's amazing.
And he's like, and I'm like, and this was the thing. And I was like, when I was thinking about like having the discussion with myself, because part of me wants it to be Project Mayhem and just wants to go like tear the Navy down and like break it into pieces so they can't hurt us anymore. But the truth is that, but that's not the expansive part. That's the petty, angry Ryan, And so, but the expansive version is like, no, I want a group that I would be proud if the MCPON was here. And then like 2 days later, the MCPON's in my group. right? Like checking it out, like what is this group? And I'm like so stoked that our biggest, I think the Navy, I don't know if the Navy got more people in the Army. I'm not really sure. But it's like it's money wise is where they put most money is the Navy. But it's the biggest fighting force we have in this country, and they can't ignore us. I'm getting so emotional right now just thinking about it because it's too important.
So
it's too important. And so to have that guy there is like a dream that I didn't even know that I had.
Yeah.
It was really, really interesting the way that it happened. And like, I'm not even really sure what to do with it right now.
I was
Like,
just going to ask you,
yeah,
this is the best case scenario. And so it's like,
literally, yeah,
what,
it's the best case scenario.
Yeah. What do you want to do with it? I mean, not on a logistical base, but like in your feeling, in your heart. Like,
I want to use it. I want to go speak. It's more speaking. I want to use it so that I can go to commands and talk about how I think we can fix the problem.
What's the message that you want to?
The message that I want to tell people is that the reason that sailors are killing themselves in the Navy is 2 reasons. The first reason, and this is the one that this is the Project Mayhem reason, is because the Navy's mission requires us to do that. It just requires us. The mission is so challenging and so demanding that we do not have time to do this second part, is to really explore who we are as individuals. We don't have the time. We're not allowed the time. And if you tell your LPO or your chief, like, hey, I'm struggling, like they call you a pussy, a faggot, or a bitch, like that's just what they do. But that's my story. But from the 40 sailors that I interviewed in the last week and a half, like that's the same thing. These are like the top 3 overwhelming stories. I have no idea. What should I do? Should I get in or stay out? What do you really want in your life? I don't know. Story number 1. Story number 2 was I was sexually assaulted by somebody in a leadership position, and I'm afraid to tell anybody that it happened because I'm in which is the most common. So common. And so, but it was just like, and then the third thing was just like, I'm thinking about killing myself. And if I tell anybody, I'm going to lose my job. And if I don't lose my job, I'm going to get shunned. And so, and then sprinkle in PTSD and depression or anxiety and whatever other flavors, postpartum depression, which you're not allowed to talk about the military because you only get so much time when you have babies. And it's just, it's just a really fascinating thing. But I think that to me, the biggest reason is because we don't know who we are. I think most of us as sailors join the military or the Army or whatever. Most of us join because we don't know what else to do. And that's like, it's an identity problem. And so, until we can figure that out, until we can figure out how to give our sailors space to learn who they are, they're going to continue to hurt themselves. It just really is,
Yeah. I think that there's a caveat, like when people join the military, because I come from a family, it's in Guam, it's a huge military base, and it's the reason why it's U.S. territory. It's strategically used for the military, and so the culture in Guam is that everybody. It's basically once you're done with high school, because they have JROTC. So even when you're in high school, you're already kind of like conditioned or kind of groomed to join the military because it's the next thing to do. Everybody understands that you're going to get a good financial income, and it helps pave the way for your school and your family, your medical and things like that. So the thing about it is that it's kind of expected in some cultures to just join to find yourself, so to speak. But I think the biggest reason why I have found or I've experienced people joining the military is for stability. And I think that the caveat is that they start to realize how unstable that they are by joining the military, which is what they asked stability for. And that stability is for the mindset of like, I want to learn who I am. I want to use this. I want to have financial stability for my family, for my education, so I can learn what am I going to do in the future. I want stability, so that way they can take care of the opportunity for me to travel and meet new people and discover and learn. And so I think like the common denominator is stability, is why people go to the military. And then, like I mentioned, the caveat is like they find that they are completely unstable.
Completely unstable. And it bottles that instability up. And then they use that instability to keep you in.
Yes.
Because they convince you that, no, you're secure here. You got first and the 15th, it's paid for. You got 3 meals a day. Like, we give you health care. We take care of your family. But it's all checks in the block. It's not actual support. It's just all the stuff. Like, you can buy a freaking Camaro if you're 22 years old or whatever. Like, you make enough money to buy a really nice car.
Brand new. Yeah.
Brand new. But then once you do that, like, you spend all your money on that thing every month. And then once it's time to stay in or get out, can't afford to get out because you bought a freaking car. And so it's really fascinating. And it's just so
there's a lot of things there. Sorry to interrupt. There's a lot of things there. So one of the things is when you're in the military, you then understand that you're just a pawn on the chessboard, because that's what you sign your life to. I actually did join the military, and then I got honorably discharged. Most people don't know that, but for me, when I signed on when I was 18, I realized that, let me tell you one of the reasons why I wanted to sign on. People don't understand how crazy I am. And I mean crazy in like the way I define crazy is not easily explained. So I joined the military because I was really fascinated by combat and being able to learn martial arts, mixed martial arts, to like shoot, to like, I was really looking at the fighting mentality. I was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. I asked the recruiter, like, put me in like, what was it? Infantry. I was like, yeah, put me in infantry. I just want to learn how to fight, and I want to learn how to like shoot and dismantle a gun blindfolded and put it back together. Like, I wanted to do all these things, and it's really funny because so many people come to me for stress management, and they come, for the spiritual healing stuff and to expand consciousness. And then they get so shocked when they hear this other side about me. And I'm like, well, this actually really helps everything. It's not about being one-sided and looking, being this kind of angel in disguise with this halo and just kind of creating that kind of like demeanor. Like, this is like, there's a lot of sides of me that I love, that I'm really excited to express to people. But the reason why I came out of it is because when I looked at how excited I was about the fighting and the being able to shoot, and I'm just really keen on that, I realized, like, you know what, the military is probably going to capitalize on my excitement. And me being a petite in stature female, looking very, looking the way I do, with my ethnicity and everything, I was like, I have a feeling this is going to go really south in a very big way, because I would be so excited about this and I'll fully take advantage of it. And when I really looked and thought about where will this take me, how will I then affect the world? And then I thought, like, you know what, I will do more harm than good. And it was for that exact reason that I pulled the frick out. And I'm really glad that I did. But there's something else that I was going to share, but I totally forgot what it was. But yeah, that's the, I don't know, what was I saying? I totally forgot. But yeah, that was the reason why I joined, and then I came out. But so pawns on a chessboard, that's what I was saying, is that it's so when you're in it, like how you were saying, like, you don't get to express yourself. You're not supposed to express yourself in the military. That's not what you're signing up for. That's not what they're paying your bills for. That's not what they're giving you this big check for. You're signing to not have a voice. That's what you're signing. You're signing your freedom away. We got you in the bag. You signed on the dotted line. You swore in under oath. You are under our finger. You are under our thumb. And this is where you're going to live. This is how you're going to dress. This is how you're going to act. This is what you're going to know. And you're our soldier on the field. And that is what my concept of the military is all about. It's about being a soldier and doing everything that they say that you have to do. It's about following command. That's what it's all about. And so for the people who go in there, there's all types of people that do go in the military. There are people who really do go there because they're thinking about fighting for their country and protecting.
Right.
There's all types of people. There's people who are like, I have no idea what to do. I was lost. I was, with a bad crowd, or I didn't have family. I didn't have guardianship. I didn't have mentorship. And I just signed it because I was like, I don't know what the hell. Somebody tell me what to do. I need someone to lead me, and then I will follow. And then there's people who go in for financial, for family, for stability, but yeah, I've worked with a lot of veterans. I've worked with a lot of people who have suffered or has suffered from PTSD and depression, suicide, all that kind of stuff. And I can happily 100% empathize because I've suffered from a lot of those different things too. I don't see myself as a victim because I've gone past it so far.
Right.
It's just something that has happened to me, and I just love being able to help people with that. But yeah, I definitely think that that there's a lot of different reasons to join the military. But when you sign your life, literally, when you sign on the dotted line, for X amount of years, whatever you signed, you are really giving your freedom to that person or to that organization that tells you where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing, what time to, like the whole nine, So you hit on a really good one, Brian, and I'm so happy for you. Like, I'm so excited for you because, this pocket of discussion that is completely lacked in the military world is a gem that you're now fighting for, and so many people are really excited that someone's going to speak out because you're not in the military anymore, right? So you're out of it, and so you're in a safe zone. And there's going to be a lot of people who are going to want to come after you. That's just the name of the game, Ryan. just acknowledging that. But there's also going to be so many people who are supporting you that you're already seeing right now. And that's going to continue to fight for you being able to speak for the people who can't fight for themselves. And so applaud you for that. And I'm so happy for you. I'm so grateful for you. And sharing the story for you, that was completely vulnerable. That was completely something that it was like kind of tragic in some way. But it's it's the same thing that I share with people all the time. For one to see the light, you must have walked in the dark. And that was a dark point for you. But now it comes into light that actually helps people in, thousands of miles and dimensions, even from healing, not just from present into the future, but even healing ancestors and people who have passed, like being able to speak for those people who haven't been able to speak for themselves and who may have even given their life because of that, that zipper on their lips that say, I can't, and so you are representing, I can, I will, I have, and I'm going to do it. And so I support you all the way. If I can, assist you further, you definitely let me know, I have your back. And I resonate with a lot of the different things that you just talked about, because I've dealt with it myself and tried to help people in the same way. And I think there's a lot of people that I have worked with that are in the military, and I always let them know this is highly confidential. Confidential. This discussion will never be breached anywhere beyond you and I. And
right.
Having that kind of support and knowing that it's not ever going to go into the military because they fear that they'll lose everything that they've invested in is, I think, incredibly important.
My air conditioner sounds like it's going to explode. I'll be right back.
Oh, take care of that. Okay. I wonder, is there any way we can get like...
It got super loud all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on.
Did you turn it off?
What were you going to ask? No, so one of the things too, like with you saying that, is I think that there is a huge fear that people are going to, in the group, there's plenty of people that have posted, said, hey, I really want to share, but I'm so scared of the repercussions. And so one of the reasons I want this group to get huge and all the stories to come out is because it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to share because those other 1,500 people shared. And like, there's just nothing. I think that was the thing for me at the end. It was like, once I realized that, like really realized, because I knew for years that I was just a pawn. But once I realized that I could take my piece off the board and like, what could they really take? You know, they're not really able to take anything from you unless you like, you know, abandon your post in a war zone, which is an entirely different story. But when I'm sitting in court, you know, not doing anything and like just gonna kill myself, like it's a highly different thing. And so really when I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take responsibility for my own life. And once I realized that all their threats were just threats, then it was like, oh, this is awesome. And so then it was just kind of like that freedom to really do whatever I wanted and really, really, you know, enact the thing that I thought was most powerful in them for me. And so, yeah, I'm really stoked about it and figuring it out, like what I want to do and, you know, what I vision it as. Like we're looking at like doing regional meetups and stuff to start. So I think there's a handful of us that are going to meet and do breakfast on Thanksgiving Day, and from the group as well. And so just kind of like starting, and while we have the momentum to get that going, so that's going to be cool. And yeah, whatever else it turns into.
That's right.
So yeah,
that's right, brother. You know, you don't have to know every single step of the way. You just need to know the direction that you want to go, and then be compassionate with yourself in the steps that you create, and make sure that it completely resonates with you when you start to voice your opinion. Because, you know, the thing about like being a coach is that people, I really want people to know that there's a lot of responsibility that you have as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who are depending on you to guide them. And it's important that when you know, people can see it like, oh, X amount of people are in the have subscribed, or X amount of people are on my appointment list, or whatever the case is. This equals to X amount of money. But
right.
You know, the most important thing is not the money. That's a complement of the journey.
Yeah.
The most important thing is the message that you leave with them.
Mm-hmm.
How is that going to affect them and every single person around them? Because then the responsibility that we uphold, that we're undertaking, we have to lead ourselves with integrity every single step of the way.
Every single one. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I definitely want this to be some sort of arm or finger or whatever off of my business, but I don't want to use it in a dirty way, because the vast majority of people in their group, like they're really hurting. They're like really struggling. And I don't just want to capitalize on that. So I want to figure out a way to add a huge amount of value and just figure out how to make it something really wholesome, you know. And then if people want to talk about coaching, then that's cool, but that's not my initial intention. And I don't want that to ever be like, I'm just going to use this as a funnel, because I know people that have, you know, thousands of people in a Facebook group that's like a really, like they're there for like this that kind of space. And then at the end of the day, like you talk to the person, like that group is nothing but a funnel to me, bro. And I'm like, I'm not going to leave your group, because I just don't, that's not what I'm about. And so it's just too important not to, but you know, right on.
So that person kind of left a sour taste in your mouth on what a funnel is as well. You know, I mean, sales can get really, can really rub people the wrong way as well. And sales isn't always a bad thing. But, you know, I've been doing.
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing, in my coaching, I've been doing a ton of business consulting. Like that's been like the area that everybody seems to be coming to me with, which is amazing, because I completely love it. But the way that I guide people in understanding how to build or expand your business always comes back to the message and how you want to express yourself. And then how do you want, if you were to die today or, you know, this afternoon or whatever, are you going to be okay with the message that you leave behind? Mm-hmm. Because that message, I mean, this would be like another like 5-day conversation, but
yeah.
But, and I know we got to wrap up, but that message is so important in the way that we express ourselves through marketing, through sales, through funnels, through I mean, like everything is just across the board. I mean, yeah, there's a ton of tons of important things there. But
yeah.
Anyway, so how are we going to wrap up this call? That note, geez, it's like we need a part 2 or a 5 or a 20. I don't know.
I'm freaking booked out through the New Year. We should hop on here again soon.
We
It's
should
so
maybe.
funny because I was like, all right, we're going to talk about wine and then we're going to talk about PTSD. It was hilarious. And I love it. It's really, really awesome. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
you know what? I'm curious to see if people, for those who did take a moment to watch this, if they would like to, um, I would like to hear their feedback on what they would like from
Hmm.
us,
Yeah.
from us together or us separately. I would love to hear what do you guys want? How can we serve you? How can we assist you on your path? I would love to, see that in the comments or reach out to us.
For
Definitely.
sure. Right on. Anything
Yeah.
else you want to share? Where can people find you at?
Yes, of course. Well, you can definitely go on my website. That's brandikianajo.com, BrandiKianajo.com. You can give me a call at 844-947-4222. And on my website, I mean, because there's a lot of different things that I help people with, there's a discovery form that you can fill out that can help you digest a little bit more on how I can serve you in particular to your situation. And if you fill out that
Cool.
discovery form, that's like a fast track on like, okay, this is what she can help me with. Um, and let's connect. And then of course, on Facebook, Brandi Kiana-Jo, Instagram, same thing, So, but yeah, I definitely want to connect with anybody that I can serve, and I hope that some piece of our conversation, I hope it really does alleviate some pressure, some stress, and I hope it does serve people who took the time to listen. And thank you
For
for
sure.
thank you, Ryan, for
Hmm.
having me on your show, and I also thank everybody who took a moment to spend time with us.
Cool. Right on. Well, I think that's all we got.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Thanks for catching up with me. Let's not wait
yeah,
another year to do this.
yeah. We get busy,
And
don't we?
yeah,
We always stay
yeah.
in touch.
If anybody has any questions about what I'm doing, definitely send an email to ryan@ryantraba.com. And let's say, hold up, Jason Seeger, more in-person events to bring awesome people like you guys together. Jason Seeger says he'd like to see more in-person stuff. Well, up until until I guess what April you said Brandi Kiana-Jo was the in-person person. So,
Cute.
but I know she was taking a break from that. But I would love to see some sort of local like networking thing that we can just all like get involved in, but that's not like necessarily Jason and I mastermind every other week. So that's something that we do a little bit of, but I know that's evolving right now. But I think like once a month, we would just like to do some sort of meetup where we can just get together and talk story. Where we're not, because one of the coolest things about Brandi Kiana-Jo stuff that she did do, one of her biggest and coolest intentions that I really loved about it the most, is that it wasn't your typical kind of networking that you'd go to where you're just like attempting to get leads. I really hated that. It was like actually making connections and actually meeting people and understanding who they were and what they actually could offer. Because I think once you really know who they are and what you could actually offer, it's like, oh, and then you could bring that in and it was really cool. So that's definitely
Yeah.
something that was really cool. And, we should definitely look into something like that. We should catch up later and find out if
Well,
there's some sort of networking thing that we could share the
well, I mean, a couple of events that I have basically two events that are my goals for the year, and maybe we can talk about, you know, fusing our gifts together for maybe one of those
yeah,
events,
I would dig that.
and then we can share, as things develop, we can share with other people on
Yeah,
the side.
I'd
But
love to
yeah,
talk to entrepreneurs about mental health and just priorities. Like I think that'd be a really cool thing to do.
yeah,
That's something I'd be really stoked about because I know, and you and I both know how challenging it can be, and especially if it's something you're really committed to. Like when you commit to this kind of thing, you have to really be in it because it's not gonna be all awesome all the time. You're gonna have to really kind
yeah,
of figure that out. So right
absolutely,
on.
absolutely. I fully my world. Like I mentioned before, I've been doing tons of business consulting and helping entrepreneurs either start or grow their
Mm-hmm.
business. So I mean, one of my clients, he's you know, he's been doing it for over 20 years, you know, and I'm just feel
Yeah.
very honored to be able to be consulting him.
Yeah.
And so you know, I mean, there's so many different things that we can talk about, but I'm thinking, you know, one of the retreats I definitely want to talk to you about, you know, behind the scenes, and see if that's something that we could pair up, because what you're sharing with me completely is aligned with my goal of doing this retreat. So let's talk about that off camera and see what we can put together. Yeah,
right
thanks,
on.
Jason, for adding that
Yeah.
comment. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you.
All right.
Right on.
That's
Cool.
it. It's a wrap.
That's it. Thanks,
All
party
right,
people.
Ryan.
We will see you next week.